How can you use crystals in a distance Reiki session? Well, the ways in which we can use crystals in Reiki is infinite. And the ways in which we can use crystals in a distance Reiki session is infinite too. Now, I will say that I personally do not, at this point on my Reiki journey, use crystals in my distance sessions. I don't use them in my in-person sessions either. Now, this is not because I have anything against using crystals during Reiki sessions. Absolutely not. It's just not a part of my Reiki journey at this time. I have crystals. I like them. I use them, for meditations and things like that. But I really do not use them during my Reiki sessions at this time, at least not with clients. And that's just, not something that I feel called to do at this time. But it doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with using crystals. And as a matter of fact, there are plenty of practitioners who do use crystals during Reiki sessions and who think that they are really powerful in the sessions. But so I do want to mention that first and foremost, that I am speaking as someone who actually doesn't use crystals during my sessions, but there are lots and lots of ways that you can use crystals during a distance session. One way that many practitioners do is that what they do is that they'll lay out the crystals and have one for each chakra. And oftentimes the crystals will correspond with the chakra. So they might use rose quartz for the heart chakra, for instance, but they'll lay them out in a line and then they'll use those crystals like a proxy for the client that they're sending Reiki to. And so they will use the crystals as a proxy in the way of, like, some practitioners might use a stuffed animal or a picture of a person to send Reiki, distance Reiki to that person. And so some practitioners may use crystals, a single crystal or a crystal for each chakra. They may use it in that way. Another way that you can use crystals for distance Reiki is to set up a crystal grid. And so to create a grid of crystals and to send Reiki to the grid. So that's another way that you could use crystals in distance sessions. Another way that you could use crystals in distance sessions is to whoever you're sending Reiki to, have them choose crystals that resonate with them before the session. And you can do this any number of ways. You can offer them a choice of crystals to say, okay, client, I'm going to use some crystals in the session. Which of these are you drawn to? Kyanite or amethyst or rose quartz? Which would you like me to use for your Reiki session? And give them the option. Another way that a practitioner might do that is to say, hey, what are the things that you would like to focus on during this session? And then choose crystals based upon the thing that the client wants to focus on, and to either, send Reiki to the crystals during the session, or to just have them out with them as they're sending Reiki in the distance session. So those are just a few ways, but the number of ways is really infinite. So you can use crystals in a distance session in just the same way that you might use them in an in-person session. And you might say, well, you can't have someone holding them and you can't put them on the physical body, but you can have the person picture themselves holding them, or you can picture the person holding the crystal. And if the person actually does have the crystal, you can encourage them to hold them during the session as you're sending Reiki. So many different ways to approach this. And really the number of ways is infinite as Reiki. So, don't limit yourself, and know that it's absolutely okay to use them during a session, a distance session, in whatever way you feel called, and in whatever way resonates with the client as well. I think always clearing that with the client first is important. And so to say to them before the session, hey, I use crystals in my Reiki sessions. I'm going to use them in this way, this way, this way. I'm going to use this, this, and this crystal. How does that resonate with you? What are your thoughts? What are your feelings? Is that okay? And just making sure that that's okay with the client beforehand and clearing it with them beforehand, I think is important in the session. But otherwise, you can use them in all different kinds of ways, however you feel called. The sky is the limit. So sending lots of blessings and best wishes to using crystals, however you might want to use them in your distance sessions.